a congenital anomaly, maybe one leg longer than that, or maybe accidents, people who are amputees, for example, people who are visually challenged. For example, I had a good pleasure about a year and a half ago to sit here and talk to a beauty queen who's visually challenged. Yet, ladies and gentlemen, how many of us will actually pay attention to these individuals when they are around us? Between mile 3, ladies and gentlemen, and Rumokoro over the weekend, we got to meet a conductor, an Agbero, who is mute. It was my very first time of coming into that space and seeing somebody who is not on the streets begging for alms, but working. The bus driver was the one that says, "In know the here, just tell me where you want to stop. Give her money. In go calculate your money, go give you." But some people, whether they didn't know or sometimes I like to assume they didn't know, would push, would poke, and when he would turn and like you can tell that he doesn't speak, he's mute. Sometimes their stance softens. Other times there's irritation. Imagine my shock that somebody found out that the conductor is mute, doesn't speak, can't speak. And then this person, with the irritation double, snatches the money of this young man. It led to a physical altercation, obviously. And it got me thinking as I left that junction. Where's our humanity? Oh yes. Once again, how supportive are you of people living with disabilities?
The views and opinions shared on this program do not represent the position of Nigeria Info FM. Nigeria Info, let's talk.
With Jude on 92.3 Nigeria Info.
So 0817-923-0002, 0817-923-0003, 0817-923-0002, 0817-923-0007. At Nigeria Info PH, at Nigeria Info PH is where you find us on Facebook and on X at Nigeria Info PH, at Nigeria Info PH, at Nigeria Info PH. Now, WhatsApp and Telegram available on 0809-030-6416, 0809-030-6416. Okay. Once again, to call in and join the conversation, use the number 0817-923-0002, 0817-923-0003. All right, so straight off the bat here, Becca is asking Jude, so if this person cannot speak, how then is he functioning as a conductor? I don't understand how people are doing this, but I've never seen it. That's from Emeka. Emeka, well, up until Saturday, I didn't know. And yes, he does function. So the driver, a huge appreciation. I forgot to even try and get the driver's name because I was totally shocked. All right, it came as a surprise. I wish I had taken the driver's name. The driver, like most drivers would do in the minibuses, we shout, my 3, my 1, you want fair, that kind of thing. So the driver was the one busy calling out while the conductor, was standing receiving the money. So yes, Emeka, that's how that worked. 92.3, good morning. Hello, Port Harcourt. Hello, good morning. Oh dear. Drop course scenario, apologies. Once again, please, when you call us, right, do us a favor, turn down the volume of your radio set, right? That's the first thing. Turn it down, all right, so that, as soon as you get to hear, we don't have that the sounds coming in from your end interfering with our end as well, please. Okay. 92.3, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, please.
Good morning, sir. Yes. My name is Irene George. I'm calling from Bundu, and I'm a person living with disability. And I've been trying to get help so that from NDDC, so that I will not go totally blind, because one I have sight is already gone.
Wait. Wait, hold on. Sorry. Are you the one that texted me sometime last year or was it early this year?
Yes, last week, yes.
Okay, so let me answer this your query right now, because it bothered me and I sent messages. Now, I only have the name of the person. I don't have any information, and the information that I have was because you asked for it. So I don't have anything. I've not been able to get any other information apart from the fact that this is the name that you should meet. But now that you've called, let me go on the break. Please keep listening. All right, we'll have to call NDC on this one, please.
For more talk, news and sports, stay tuned to Nigeria Info. We'll be right back after this. The world is changing.
this morning, I start off with a bit of soul searching. And I'm very pleased that the first caller who was able to get through somebody who has actually contacted me. Now, please, if as we go on, please, I know that if we get through some what do you call it, some of our reporters and maybe knock at some doors, I'll probably be able to get more information. But I'm saying this openly and on air because this is something that happened whilst I was not at work. If anybody who's listening to me right now is part of the NDDC or, the Ministry of Niger Delta Affairs, and they are reminded of, part of their obligations, please, I would love for somebody to just help us as we have this conversation going forward to just text us. Our WhatsApp number is 0809 030 6416. That's our WhatsApp number, please. 0809 030 6416. I know there have been several initiatives, in the past for provision and assistance. I know some IOCs have also given out wheelchairs, crutches, walking sticks, that's canes now, and also braces for people living with disabilities. Some have even offered, skill acquisition programs for them to learn how to sew, bake, and things like that. It would be unfair to say nothing has been done. No, it would be totally unfair. But if anybody's listening from any of these departments this morning, if you know them, could you knock at their doors? Could you send them a message and say, look, they're talking about us on Nigeria Info. Maybe we should contact them. Because my experience over the weekend brought a new sense of awareness to the plight of people living with disabilities here in Rivers State and maybe by extension parts of the Niger Delta. So 0817-9003, 0817-923-0002, 0817-923-0007. At Nigeria Info PH, at Nigeria Info PH, all right, is where you find us on Facebook and on X, at Nigeria Info PH, at Nigeria Info PH is where you find us on Facebook and on X. All right, as always, please do what? Turn down the volume of your radio set. Refrain from making derogatory or defamatory comments. And if you didn't see or hear, please make no mention of it. And very importantly, please keep your conversations civil.
The views and opinions shared on this program do not represent the position of Nigeria Info FM. Nigeria Info, let's talk.
With Jude on 92.3 Nigeria Info.
All right, 0817-923-0002, 0817-923-0003. WhatsApp is 0809-030-6416. 92.3, good morning. Hello, Port Harcourt.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, please.
My name is Awere Lawson.
Good morning, Mr. Lawson. Thank you for joining us.
Okay. Firstly, let me say I have encountered the man you used as the story for today's discussion.
Oh, the conductor.
Yeah, yes, I have.
Okay.
I think that there was coming from Education Bus Stop to Rumigbo on Ikwere Road.
Okay.
Now, on that day, the impression it gave to me was that, when you see persons like that, it discourages you from giving arms to some persons who are begging, not the ones that they don't have a wherewithal, but those ones who have a wherewithal, yet they have taken up the path of street begging or just begging for arms. Because you will see him, he's doing something to help himself out. But these persons who can help themselves have rather, sought out for the soft way, which is to beg. That's on the other side. Now, to the topic, whether if we are assisting those who are disabled.
I say, how are you?
That's what I'm saying. Okay, how am I? If I should say one or two things, it would seemingly seem I'm kind of blowing my trumpet.
Okay.
But I know what I have done.
Okay.
And particularly, I have even somebody. It beats my mind how he is visually impaired, but how he regularly calls me to even check up on me than I even do to him. So on that, I have this relationship with him that at every point in time, you need to reach out to this person because of his condition. And I don't want to mention his name.
Yes. Let's respect his privacy.
Then you also mentioned of buildings. There was a day, about 4 days or 5 days ago, in your station, they discussed about rewriting our constitution. Maybe if we can do a new constitution for us. Now, for me, that I tried to call him, for me, we don't need a new constitution. What we need is reorientation. Where even the existing laws or even the constitution, we have not operated on it to even, let me say, 20% of it. Because if we are able to operate our constitution and our laws to just 20%, we will have a better place. Why do I say this? Now you have the local government where buildings are given permission or they are approved for your building. When this plan comes, those people at the civil service there, what do? Do they check for this? A lot of the churches who come, it doesn't matter whether it's a church or it's a mosque. The law is that before you put up a building, you have to surrender it to the local government to approve it. So these are one of the functions the civil servants, they ought to check that for a building or a hall or anything that will carry so number of persons or that will attract this. You also have to consider those who are visually impaired, including the blind, those who are on wheelchair, and any other. So when these people bring their buildings for them to approve, do they check these things and say, no, we will not approve because your building is lacking and I believe that our laws have it's stated here that for every building or a public building, it must have. Even the bridges they build, even on the roads. Have you noticed that the entire pedestrian have been taken over by market? So, what I'm saying, like for example, if you go to, close to Rumekini,
okay,
they have not finished the bridge. But the entirety of the pedestrian around the flyover, under the flyover, and by the time they will finish that bridge, they won't be able to push away those people because it will now be that where are you chasing them to? Where would they stay? They don't have a place. But this is the time for them to nip it at the bud. If a visually impaired person is walking on the walkway, in fact, those who trade there, they do as if it's their right. It is you who is even infringing on their space. While they are not supposed to be there. So, if we can just operate this aspect of the law that says that civil servants need to approve, so do we need a new constitution for a civil servant to say, look, you did not provide for those who are handicapped? Do we need a new constitution for it?
No, I don't think so.
I think what we really need is compulsory reorientation for entirety of Nigerian civil populace, and then maybe partially, a bit of not necessary, but we can amend here and there of our laws so that maybe we can conform to the modern way of life. That's my take.
I think you have spoken well. I think there's some very salient points you are able to hit on the head this morning. Thank you very much, sir, for your time. I'm very appreciative of your conversation, and at least I'm pleased that somebody else could corroborate that I saw something and I was not a figment of my imagination.
No. Of the truth, I have encountered him, and that day in fact, let me just say this: I'm a lawyer, and once I see people who are disabled, as lawyers, there's this what we call pro bono.
Yes, pro bono services.
So naturally, anywhere when I meet people who are disabled, whether they have approached me or not, automatically there and then, like you have me as your lawyer. I do that. Like this is my pro bono for you. If it goes beyond that, we will. But if it is something we can resolve there, I would. Where am I going to?
Right.
I need to be there and resolve that issue for that
person.
If I let me even just add this to say, even we that are not disabled, let me say we that are able. If you look at our roads now, the new flyover close to it, see that there are zebra markings. Have you seen any vehicle stopping for those who are on the zebra?
That's a different conversation.
People get angry that why are the children go away, get out?
That's a different conversation.
On zebra crossing. Meanwhile, in school, these children are taught that they have the right to obey on zebra crossing. But everyone who is driving, if you see a child, a school student on the zebra crossing, just take a
I confirm. I really do.
Whether you will see any vehicle,
I've confirmed with people on this.
Anybody who is on the zebra crossing.
All right. Thank you very much. I can confirm, brother, what you said. And I remember, I think it was about 3 years ago, we had a conversation here, and I think it was thanks to some of you who were listening who impressed upon the 3 or 4 years ago along East West Road that school at Alakaya, where I saw when I was jogging in the morning, how one particular young man was, busy trying to get children to cross the busy highway. And I think for a few months later, there was a zebra crossing there. It's one off now. The painting has worn off. But yes, it's good that those things happen. Now, my last caller mentioned something about the pedestrian walkway. Now, ideally, people with wheelchairs should be able to move across that space, because not all of them will have the access to vehicles. And then for those who will get into cars, sometimes you're seeing a man or woman who's in a vehicle, who's in a wheelchair, trying to go to the market, and he's entering a bus or a taxi. They usually have a friend who puts them in the car, and then they fold their wheelchair and they put it at the back. So when the person now comes down, they have to push him. But what routes do they take? Once again, please, this is me humbly asking. I know I can start knocking on doors when I go downstairs and meet the news team, but I'm appealing to the empathetic nature of those of you who are in River State, in Port Harcourt. Please, if you by chance know the person, because the first person that called me, right? I was at the function where I got to meet reps from the NEDC and say, oh, look, somebody says they need this health issue. And they said, okay, the person should come to the NEDC building on so and so day and ask for this person. It's a visiting day, and they will let the person in. Unfortunately, that has not happened. For over 6 months now, that hasn't happened. I don't have any phone number. So please, if you are from NDDC, if you are listening to us, right, just send us a message, please, so I can tell the general public. Yes, I can go downstairs and start calling. But now that we're having this conversation, people are sending me messages. Please, if you have a Niger Deltan who has a health condition and is seeking attention, what processes? If they come to the NDC gates and they are knocking, who should they ask for? What should they do? Please. 0817-923-0002, 0817-923-0003. 9.3 Nigeria Info. Good morning. Oh dear, apologies. Messages now. Clef Austin Rodriguez on WhatsApp says the driver does more of the job to assist the guy. Anyways, I try to be of help with people with disability in any way I can, even when most of them are violent because of their condition. Violent because of their condition. Okay, all right. Jude, it is in our culture to despise or at least limit contact with disabled people. Wow. Hear me out. Religious people believe that anyone born or afflicted by disability did something wrong or is under a curse due to something an ancestor of theirs did. Think about it. What is the first thing a Christian does when confronted with the medical diagnosis that suggests a setback? They shout, "It is not my portion." Then they go into prayers to give reasons or remind God why they or their loved ones don't deserve a certain outcome. That reason is often centered on how they have served God, giving to charity, being good. In other words, those who don't do these things deserve the illness, or they ask for mercy or forgiveness for a sin that they believe is the root cause of that disability. Even with not having a child when you assume you will, Christians automatically believe something is wrong and you are being punished by God or being tormented by the devil because you, your spouse, or your ancestors committed a sin. How much more would you have an unhealthy child? Even in the Bible, John 9, Jesus and his disciples encountered a man who was born blind, and the disciples' first reaction was not empathy. It was, whose sin, the man or his parents, caused him to be born blind? In the African context, per reincarnation, the belief is that a disabled person did something bad in the previous life, and living with a disability in this life is the karma. So, like if you were a blabbermouth or a liar who got people into trouble in the past life, you'll be mute in the next life. Really? That's what you people believe? If you are taught that someone is suffering as a result of a crime, sin, or punishment, you tend to judge, fear, or at the very least avoid them, because you're also taught that if you help them, you are okaying or partaking in their sin and daring the one who's punishing them to come after you too. Reorientation is necessary. That message is from Anonymous. How do you think of that? 92.3, good morning. Good morning, please.
My concern is about this pedestrian way at LM Junction here. When you are going to
Hello. What are you calling for, please?
From LM Junction there.
Okay, what are you referring to? What issue is this?
About the pedestrian way.
Okay.
People are facing that pedestrian way.
Okay.
Right from that reason to the road that leads to East-West Road. We change that element. So government is supposed to do something about it. I called you about 3 times. I've called you about 3 times about that pedestrian. They have divided the road into two. Even when you want to walk now to the other junction, you cannot. And if you are talking to this, you have asked them to be removing a market from the road. They will be insulting. They will insult you. So please just help and talk to the government, especially community, the community, the community people, because they are the cause of the that thing. Because they always collect money from
I see. Okay, all right. Thank you very much. All right. Good day to you, Jude. Please use your good office to reorientate or sensitize our great architects to include ramps while building to enhance their movement to high buildings that is cumbersome to the disabled persons. That's from Ipalabo Harry. Well, Ipalabo, I think I mentioned it earlier, and I think it's worth mentioning again, right? It's worth the mention again. Okay. Ramps are really important. Ramps, even for me and for some of us who were able to be gain access normally. Sometimes the ramps, because of the incline, it's easier to just take this thing. There are only a very few houses. Some hotels actually have ramps, and I must applaud them for doing that as well. Some of the ramps are very low. You won't even notice, and they're so well designed that when you just pull in, and just come down from the vehicle, it just takes you up. It's designed, it's integrated into the structure, which is very good, right? But yes, it's not just the people who are in the wheelchair that we should be considering. There are people who like I experienced, can't speak, who have lost their sense of hearing, or who are even born that way, who are mute. People who lost their eyesight, and then the aged amongst us. Last week, in fact, now that I'm talking about it, last week, it seems to be the week I was just getting to have all these experiences that culminated in me getting to meet this person. So last week at Cornerstone Junction, right, I was going to mile 3. So I got to the junction. I wanted to cross over and take a bus. Now, when I got to the junction, I noticed that there was this elderly man. He was with a young boy, maybe his grandson, or maybe the boy that they said to stay with him, take care of him. But the boy was obviously young and obviously not very worldly wise. He didn't seem to have a very firm grasp of what was happening around him. So he was basically holding this senior citizen's hand. So I've seen this before. And I asked the boy, do you want to cross over? He said yes. I said, okay, I'll stop the vehicles so that you can walk across. So I got onto that space, got onto the road. I flagged down some vehicles. The first two obviously didn't pay any attention to me because I'm not wearing a uniform and my father doesn't own Port Harcourt. So they passed, which is no problem. And then a car stopped. It was a Lexus, I believe, GX, one of those big Jeeps. Or was it? Yeah, but it was a big car, and it was another senior citizen. I think maybe that's where this came from. The man saw what I was trying to do and stopped. And then one of those keke, what do you call them? Tricycle, the keke guys, seeing that this man has stopped and seeing that I was flagging her, totally ignored me and just zoomed. Wah! Like, what's this level of impatience? So that man stopped. Eventually, the other cars stopped. And then this man and the boy, and then another young lady came and held this old man's hand. So on both sides, he received support. And they were walking him across. But ladies and gentlemen, that's not the story. The story here is because of the advancement of this man's age, and maybe, I don't know what illness he was dealing with, this man took close to, I'm not exaggerating, close to 2 minutes to cross from that side to the other side of Cornerstone. But people waited. That's what society is all about. That's what we are reminded to do this morning.